I got it! When I first heard about Dave being trapped in a maze...
1, 2, 3, 4!
I built a labyrinth. Can you believe it?
Dave is trapped in a cardboard maze in his living room and he can't get out.
Welcome to Dave Made a Minute, the podcast where a whole bunch of us are exploring the film Dave Made a Maze 1 minute at a time. The twist. Many of the participants have never seen the film. Some don't even know what film they're sampling. They get their minutes and they tackle them as they see fit. Here's your host from the Groundhog Day Project and Michael Myers Minute, Robert Black.
Minute 5, Dave won't tear down his maze and he won't let Annie inside because it's too dangerous. To tackle Minute 5, we have Chris Frain and Rudy Thornberg of Open the Podcast Doors How.
You come home, there's a giant maze in your living room. You're like, what the? There's a giant maze in my living room. I've heard of people rearranging the furniture, but this is wackadoodle crazy. You give me a sense of that.
This doesn't make any sense. It's like a fucking cocktail party in here.
Could I get a few words from you before you go?
Hello and welcome to Open the Podcast Doors. My name is Rudy Thornberg.
Whoa. Wait, what's going on?
Hell, man. What?
We are the hosts of Open the Podcast
That's what I'm
Doors
talking
How.
about.
But this isn't an episode.
We're not doing an episode?
Doors How. No, we're doing a weird B.F. Skinner psychology experiment.
I've always wanted to. Why didn't you tell me? Oh, duh.
So let's back up. We are the hosts of the Movie by Minute podcast, Open the Podcast Doors How.
Yep.
And I'm Chris Frain.
I'm Rudy Thornberg.
And in that podcast, we examine Stanley Kubrick's 1968 science fiction masterpiece, 2001: A Space Odyssey, 1 minute at a time. We're here in our studio, but we're not going to talk about 2001: A Space Odyssey.
We will before and after we record this, but we're not going to record that.
We're taking a little break.
Yeah.
We're participating in this weird experiment that I'm calling whatever the heck this is minute. So some disclosures here. You've already listened to minutes 1 through 4. We're doing minute 5 of whatever this movie is.
I haven't heard minutes 1 through 4 in the podcast.
Neither have I.
And I have not watched minutes 1 through 4 of the movie.
I picture those previous episodes of the podcast in a briefcase with the handcuff.
Yeah.
And
Spies Like Us style.
Yeah, and we have not seen those. So some disclosures here. Other than that, I actually, because I was contacted about this, and I watched the minute that we're covering today first, it triggered a memory for me of a film review I read. It was either last year or the year before, and I was like, oh, I wonder if this is that movie. I'm not going to say the name of that movie.
Ghostbusters.
But I only have the vaguest recollection of that review, so I am not intimately familiar with the plot of this movie, barely familiar with the premise of this movie. So that's where I am. And I managed to not mention any of that to my co-host, Rudy.
I can vouch for him. He didn't mention any of that.
So Rudy's watched this minute for the first time 3 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I watched it once or twice earlier today, and here we go. What we're seeing in this minute 5 starts with the character Annie, as I understand it, and she is in the middle of a yoga pose. Rudy, do you do yoga?
Yes, I do.
Do you ever do something where you're upside down like that with your...
No, my body, I don't think, would withstand that level of... Yeah.
Neither could I.
Yeah.
My wife does yoga, and it's pretty funny. Every once in a while, I will enter a room, and she'll be in the middle of a pose that just looks absurd. One time, I think she was trying to stretch out something in her back, and she was basically rolling back and forth on her side. It was the strangest thing. So I'm familiar with this.
Okay.
With this, or she was trying to reach an itch or something. I don't know.
What if this film were like just a yoga tape?
Well, let's come back to that idea.
Let's not come back to that idea.
So she's talking to a disembodied voice, somebody off screen, off camera, and it turns out it's she looks over and there are these cardboard boxes all piled up, and they have like steam coming out of these vents that are built. I mean, this is a real
hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's cardboard boxes, but that you're painting the wrong picture for the listener who hasn't seen this.
Okay.
It's an elaborate fort, like a castle. So there's
But
when you say a pile of cardboard boxes, they've already pictured the wrong thing. You have to say that it's been crafted and it's got these intricate elements.
I was getting to that, Rudy, but you're already there. Go ahead.
No, you do it.
Continue.
No.
So it's this elaborately crafted fort.
Oh, well put.
With steam for some reason. I'm that's disturbing, coming out of the sides of the boxes. It's got these little like stove pipes coming out of the top of the
like
box.
smokestacks or
something.
something. They're old-timey
That's the word I
smokestacks.
was looking for. Yeah. She seems mildly annoyed.
Yes.
That he's in this voice is trapped in the boxes. I don't know if he's trapped. He's gone in there.
He's of his own choosing in there. He's up to something that doesn't involve her, and that's why she's annoyed. And it's his recording is taking place not inside cardboard boxes. I mean, he's explaining that the space he's in is bigger than what it looks like from the outside. And he's, the voiceover recording is, taking place in a metallic, banquet hall or something. It's not in the cardboard boxes.
He sounds like he's very far away.
Yeah.
And sort of the vocals are sort of vocals. The recording is sort of processed.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out their relationship because she calls him dude. And my wife has never referred to me as dude.
Well, maybe your wife isn't into the whole brevity thing, man.
So I don't know if they're a couple.
Roommates?
Has
Brother
your
and
wife ever
sister?
referred to you as, or called you dude?
No.
No. See, that's what I'm talking about.
No. She doesn't like it when I call her dude either.
No, she shouldn't. So I'm trying to figure out, are they roommates maybe? Or just...
Brother and sister?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We don't
at this
know.
point.
Yeah.
Workplace acquaintances. I just, although you wouldn't do yoga in someone's...
Frenemies?
Frenemies. The best of frenemies. Yeah, I just don't know what their relationship. We'll find out at the end of this, or over the course of this experiment.
She is upset that he's up to something, period. Right. And that the something he's up to, he's not explaining to her.
Yeah.
And that she's not invited to join. So that's an indication that you have about what their relationship is.
Were you a fort builder as a kid?
Yeah, we had a couple of forts that my brother and I would routinely build in the house. We had 2 chairs, that we could do a blanket over, and then there were a couple times where we took like all the couch cushions we could get,
and
that's supplemented them with the chairs, and like filled up the whole living room with like tunnels and whatnot. So yeah. So we had many forts, and since we lived in northern Michigan. In the wintertime, we could also build snow forts that had tunnels and things like that.
We didn't get as much snow regularly in Maryland growing up, but when it did, it would drop like...
Old Bay seasoning?
Yeah. Oh, it smelled so good. No, it would drop about 3 feet of snow. Mm-hmm. And so that's some good fort building. And it was always very damp.
Yeah.
And so you could make some really resilient walls.
Yeah.
For that fort. But I would say my fort building days were over by the time I was 26. No, by the time I was like 13, maybe 12. I mean, of course, when Empire Strikes Back came out, it was all about snow forts. Yeah. If it snowed 2 inches out, we would
build something,
collect all the snow from all the yards, and try to make one tiny echo base. Yeah.
A snow lean-to.
Yeah, those were the days.
Yeah. Tonight on Fort Talk.
So the voice inside the fort is that of a grown man.
Right.
So
it's I recognize the voice, but I was not able to pinpoint the memory did not finish for me. But I was like, yeah, I know who that is, and I got some vague pictures in my mind about.
I know who it is, and you're not looking at my notes, right?
I have not seen any part of.
You can't even read my notes from where you are.
No.
Okay, it's time to play.
Who's that guy?
Who's that guy?
If I listen to it again and then maybe a third time,
Take one guess. Take 3 guesses. This will be fun.
is it Will Forte?
That is a really good guess. No.
Fortin with Will.
And it would be appropriate, wouldn't it?
But it's like I'm picturing who's the guy, Jason, what's his name? And it's not him because it's an older guy, but it's just one of those like barely quirky but still conventional faces. It's like quirky enough that they get cast in roles like this.
You're so close.
So I know it's not him, but who's the guy
Do you want a hint?
in the Bill Murray who's the freaking director who does all those cute movies that are like this, that they have like fantasy elements in them, like Fantastic Mr. Fox? Who's the director?
Why am I drawing a blank?
Schwartzman. Jason Schwartzman is the actor. I know it's not him. Like I never thought it was him, but it's somebody who has that similar caliber.
I thought you meant Wes Anderson. Like
those are the films.
Okay, yeah.
That's how I was trying to get to Jason Schwartzman.
Okay.
So I'm thinking who was the American Office guy?
These are such great guesses. Krasinski is his last name.
No, I mean the actual star, the Dan in real
Jim.
life guy.
Or what? Do you mean Jim from The
What's
Office?
the actor's name? I don't know what the.
Yeah, it's like his last name's Krasinski. John Krasinski.
No.
Do you mean Dwight from it?
No, the boss.
Oh, Steve Carell.
Steve Carell. So, yeah.
You're getting cold with that.
No, I know it's not him.
Do you want to know? After all
Let's
this,
do the hint.
Okay. Frequent comedy Bang Bang guest in the early years.
Yeah, so the years I would have listened to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right.
I'm still a listener of Comedy Bang Bang. Hello, Scott Ackerman. If you're
He was wearing a Comedy Bang Bang t-shirt yesterday. I can vouch for that. Okay, then I know exactly who it is. And when I say Will Forte, it's a guy just like Will Forte.
Okay. Yeah, you're really warm.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of Will Forte. Isn't there somebody else who was on all the time back then who was...
Nick Thune.
Oh, yeah, I would never have guessed
He
Nick
is.
Thune.
He is.
Yeah, I recognize
in
the voice.
In the box.
Thick Noon.
Thick Noon.
Yep.
Nick Thune. Also.
I'm the man.
Also of Extract and American Dad. He's done an American Dad appearance somewhere.
I really like American Dad.
And also Knocked Up. He was in that.
Never saw
as
it.
well.
Oh, wait, I think I did see that. I don't know. Whatever.
And Annie is played by Mira Kumbani, and she was in a couple of films. One previous to this, Weird Lovers and Black Box.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not
I am the context provider on our
I know.
on our normal podcast.
Yeah.
I got to do this. So if you want to edit this all out, feel
No
free.
way. Don't even think about it. This is gold. All right. So what did you think about it, Chris?
This seems like it is a quirky, well-shot indie. I've seen a lot of indie movies that,
Indie.
where the sound in the picture are just terrible. No, this is really well shot. There's some cartoonish sound effects that are already cluing us in. Yeah, there was something like that.
Yeah,
Where
there was a steam whistle noise because there was steam coming out of the paper
Right.
towel.
So I'm reasonably confident no one's going to get brutally murdered in this, even though it sounds like what does he say? He's been trapped in there for 3 days, right?
He didn't say trapped ever.
Oh, he said
he's been in there for 3 days. He left his cell phone on the counter and
Wow, you really picked up on the dialogue
Words?
there. Words, yeah. So I'm reasonably confident this has a quirky, lighthearted feel to it.
It's whimsical.
It is whimsical. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, I mean, all right. So I don't have much to say about the film itself because we just basically stated the facts, and you can't really argue with Chris's assertion that it's quirky and whimsical. I have whimsical as the first thing I wrote under minute 1, followed by
minute 5.
No, I mean like minute 1 as in our first minute,
Yes.
like our first
We'll be
episode
doing,
talking about this movie. Yeah, we got a
movies.
couple to do.
Yeah.
So I think I was so the first thing I said out loud, and Chris was like, "Oh, you should probably put that in your notes because that way we can actually make sure you say it." I couldn't believe this was 5 minutes into the movie. I was like, so we're 5 minutes into the movie and we're already at this level of malarkey, and so. This falls into a group of a lot of other films that I have strong feelings about, both positive and negative. That's not, my opinion isn't really interesting. What's interesting is why do these movies exist? Like, why have people made and watched these movies? So I'm thinking of movies like we're getting into Wes Anderson territory with fantastical elements as well as reality mixed with adult drama, and child fantasy. So I put, it's like Wilfred, Lars and the Real Girl, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and then you can go into any Wes Anderson movie.
Being John Malkovich.
Yes, exactly.
That's actually when I watched this minute, I was like, oh, is this going to be a Being John Malkovich situation where
Magnolia.
He ends up trapped in another dimension inside an actor's brain or something.
Yeah.
I mean, not that specific, but...
Yes, that is exactly what I'm talking about.
There's something extra dimensional that I'm expecting to happen in this thing.
So there's that, and so that's the vibe I'm getting. And so, like, the compelling question for me is, what is this genre of movie? Why do people make them? Why do people see them? And that's not me saying there isn't a reason. That's me saying, well, this is a thing that didn't exist when I was born so much, but started to happen around the time I was in my late teens and 20s. So, I mean, this is late 90s and 2000s. That's what I'm talking about. So the phrase, I came up with some phrases to sort of try to get the conversation going, or just at least express what this movie was doing to me. Mm-hmm. These films include sort of facilitated through magic, a validation of male childhood.
That's another phrase when I mentioned that there's a grown man's voice trapped inside the fort. Yeah.
That's actually what Chris said the first time he ever heard recorded music. It's a grown man's voice trapped inside this little fort.
I'm just an unfrozen caveman.
What do I know? I mean, so we're getting back to the idea, and this is a discussion. In my experience, my impression is that girlishness is more permissible for young women and adult women than boyishness is for young men and adult men. It's not true, but it's a bit, I mean, it's not across the board true. But when you think of maleness, you don't think of boyishness as much. So these are films which validate the inner child of grown men in a culture where feelings are taboo.
Like one of my favorite movies, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That's my the appeal of that movie to me is that it's a grown man.
Yeah.
But he's not only embracing his inner child, he is his inner child.
Yeah.
And yeah.
He's immature, and I like that the way he reacts to things around him, like the things that he likes and doesn't like. I mean, that's entertaining. It's like Dumb and Dumber when he hits the girl in the face with the snowball. That's like that kind of entertainment. Right. But this strikes me as my guess is that this is going to go much more in a Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind direction, which
was a pretty heavy movie.
Yeah.
And this doesn't. I don't think this has the heaviness of that. Not at least based on the 1 minute we just watched.
Right. I feel like it may be doing something similar. So the scene I'm thinking of, and I work with young children in addition to young adolescents. So the one thing I think of, because this is the only time I experienced this, is how profound emotionally, and for young children, there is a profound emotion associated with attention from adults. Mm-hmm. So there's that scene where Jim Carrey is like having his memory of being like hiding underneath the kitchen table while his mom's walking around the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And he's like thinking out loud, like, wow, I forgot what this experience was like. And he was talking about when his mom's paying attention to him, that's like the sun shining on his face. And I think about this all the time when I watch the behavior of children and young adolescents in school. So I'm getting a similar vibe here, and I can't go anywhere with it because there's not enough in the film in the 1 minute for me to say.
Right.
I always call into question, and it's with every single piece of film ever. So I don't tend to say it out loud because what's the point? It's just such a non-issue. But, we know that it's nice. People complain about how we have the same 5 celebrities in every single movie, and every movie is just sold to us as the one with this celebrity in it. Right. So,
until recently, it was always Ernest Borgnine.
Recently. Sounds like you and the word recently have some catching up to do. I always just think about I don't know what's the best. I'll check my notes to see which word I used here. Why does I put unreasonably, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Everybody in a film has to be perfectly groomed and very attractive.
Yeah.
Or,
reasonably.
8 to 10 out of 10.
Sure.
And so that, you acknowledge it and then you suspend your disbelief and like, oh, this is a world where everybody is handsome and spends 2 hours on their hair or whatever. Everybody is, thin unless that's part of their character to be fat.
Right. In which case they get a thin person. That person puts on weight, and then they win an Oscar because they put on the weight.
Yeah, or
like, I can put on a weight. I can put on weight. Where's my Oscar? I did a really good job this summer with that. Where's my Oscar?
If you mean Oscar Mayer.
Wait, we're vegetarian.
Yeah, I know. So that's about all I've got. I'm skeptical that this is a good movie.
I'm not.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I'm a crabbier person than you in general. I'm probably a little bit more cynical.
I've caught you at a bad time.
I'm having a great day today. Man, having a great day today, doing some podcasting. So I don't know, like, okay, here's why I get crabby at this. Apart from there being attractive people in every movie.
I think we only have seen one person in this movie, and you're already extrapolating her attractiveness out to everybody else.
Yep.
Okay.
I feel like I'm supposed to be charmed by all this, and I feel like that is going to be a continuing theme. Like, oh, isn't this interesting? Isn't this cute? Isn't this whimsical? Isn't this, I don't know, endearing? And I don't want to be made to be endeared to something. I would like to enjoy something on its own merits. So it's a little bit, it feels like it's over the top, like some of the Wes Anderson moments. And I love Wes Anderson's films. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do. I'm just saying I think viewers should be treated with a lot of respect. And when I hear choo-choo noises coming out of a fort while the girl is on the outside and the man is doing something, on his own, I just don't know where it's going to go or where it's coming from or how they're going to tell us to interpret it, which I don't appreciate. Or maybe they won't do it. So that's where I'm at. Those are my negative projections onto this 1 minute. Okay. That's what I'm here for, right?
I think I have I acknowledge what you're saying. I think I have a less
cynical
approach to the 3 random other minutes we're going to watch.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a break.
And then we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. We will see this entire movie eventually, but.
Oh, you will see this movie.
Well, Rudy, you got any plugs?
Yeah, go see 2001. I don't know. Go rewatch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's a really good movie.
So we have a podcast. We
talked about it
at the top.
Torture these poor people.
Called "Open the Podcast Doors." Hal,
it's pretty good.
Check it out. It is on iTunes and Spotify and Google
Play,
yeah. And if there's something else you're using to listen to podcasts, let me know.
Yeah, you can download any number of podcast apps.
Yeah.
There's a ton of them, and they'll just reroute it through, our thing or Google.
So check that out. Subscribe to it if you like 2001: A Space Odyssey. If you like Stanley Kubrick. If you like science fiction. We have a lot of fun with that podcast, as you could tell from our modus operandi here. And that podcast, we have some social media destinations. We're on Twitter at 2001 Podcast. We're on Instagram. Just type in Open the Podcast Doors Hal. You'll find us. And on Facebook, and type that in. We also have a listeners group called Space Station 5. And that's about it. We're going to catch up with you again at minute 8.
Right on.
Of whatever the heck this movie is. See you then.
Thanks for listening.
And then I could probably disarm all the traps. And then we could finish this maze. Who is with me?
That was Chris Frain and Rudy Thornberg from Open the Podcast Doors Hal taking on Minute 5 of Dave Made a Maze. They will be back in Minute 8. Next time on Dave Made a Minute, we've got Chris Durkoch and Jeff Ferry from Jay and Silent Bob Minute taking on Minute 6.
Thank you for listening to Dave Made a Minute. Intro dialogue snippets were taken from Dave Made a Maze, directed by Bill Watterson, written by Bill Watterson and Steve Sears, and produced by John Charles Meyer. Intro music is Diversion by The Equals, featured in the film Dave Made a Maze, and Life Cycle of a Match by Parvis Decree. Outro music is Leaving This Godforsaken Place and Her Presence is Strong Here by Parvis Decree. Dave Made a Minute is a production of Lemming Drop Studio and all other featured podcast producers. You can find more content at lemmingdrops.com. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Dave Made a Minute. If you like what you hear, throw us a rating and review on your podcatcher of choice, and check out all of the participants' other shows to spread the love around. Again, thank you for listening.
As long as we're all working together, it's going to be fine. It's going to be great.
I need you to notify the families of everyone who died here today.
Totally. Wait, what?